Good morning to you, and of course, a happy new year. I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a lovely Christmas or Yule or just general special season, and I hope you've had a lovely start to the new year. So it's lovely to be back with you. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to make some really pretty earrings. We've got some micro crystals and we've got some lovely gemstones as well. So I'll be showing you over on the website all the different colours of the gemstones that you can choose from. We've got two colourways of wire, so three with one and three with another. They are a fairly simple make. You could have these as a pendant as well if you prefer. You should be able to get plenty in your kit. So I think you're making two pairs of earrings up, but as I say, if you would rather have some pendants with them as well, then you can do that. And we've got a little bit of a discount on as well for you today. So a nice way to kick us off in 2024. So I'm going to say good morning to you all very quickly, and then I'm going to take you over to the website and get started. So good morning to Teresa. She says good morning and hello to Jan. Rachel says good morning and happy new year from a bright and cold Barrow. It's freezing here today. My little one is back in school this morning, so he had a tennis lesson this morning. So we were up, well, some of us were up rather bright and early, and it was just bitterly cold on the walk to school. So I'm sitting next to my radiator. Hopefully my hands have warmed up now. Good morning to Jan. She says, good morning, Natalie, and happy new year. Good morning to Edward. How are you? I hope you've had a lovely new year as well. Good morning to Debbie. She says it looks like a lovely make. Thank you very much. Hello to Camille. How are you doing? She says she's missed me. I've missed you. It feels like forever since I've been with you. Obviously, we did some holiday club Zoom over the festive period, but I wasn't on my usual setup. So coming in this morning, I was like, can I remember what to click? Is it all where it should be? And so far, no problem. So let's continue with no tech issues this year. Hey, good morning to Carol. Good morning to Sue. Rachel is saying good morning to everybody as well. Good morning to Joanne. She's saying happy new year to everybody. Hello to Elaine. Good morning to Mina. Judith's arrived. She says happy new year as well. Good morning to Anne. She says she's glad the lives are back. Mina's saying it's very cold in Leicester as well. Barbara's in. Good morning. She had snow yesterday, torrential rain tomorrow in Pennsylvania. Well, I hope you're okay. The snow's pretty, but obviously when it's been raining and it gets a bit icy, it's not always as lovely as it could be. It looks pretty though. Good morning to Mary. She says, good morning, Natalie and everybody from a very wet Tewkesbury. It's not raining yet. I don't think. It might be. It looks like it's raining. Tracy says hi to everybody and hope everybody's keeping well. So now I've got quite a lot of you in with me. I'm going to take you over to the website. So if you've forgotten, because it's been a little while, we're on totallybeads.co.uk and you can head into our video tutorial category here and here, whichever one you want. I'm just going to go back a page just to make sure that it's working, and it should be streaming there with you now. So today we're doing the Ingrid Gemstone earrings, which is this make. It's hiding amongst some of our Christmas makes that we were doing. So these are your gemstone earrings today. There are 6 different colours, I think, for you to choose from. We've got the beautiful amethyst, which is on the silver. We've got citrine for you, of course, on the warm sunny gold. We've got garnet, which I think I'm going to demo with you today because of course it's January birthstone, so I think that's what I'll be doing with you. We've also got some gorgeous gold obsidian, which is also on the gold colourway. We have, if I scroll down, some beautiful rose quartz, and the rose quartz is on the silver. We've got serpentine, which I've not really used much before, to be honest. It's a gemstone that's fairly new to me. Obviously, it's a gorgeous kind of green colour, which is, I think, where it gets its name from, like a serpent. And it's meant to represent, I think, like new birth and new beginnings with that kind of shedding of its skin and kind of rejuvenation. But I think it's also linked to like prosperity and wealth in terms of work and career and things like that. And we've also got the gorgeous sodalite, which is on the silver. So you're getting you're getting enough to make 2 pairs of earrings in your kit today. And I think that's a 10% off for you as well. So they are £8.09 per kit, which, as I say, makes 2 pairs of earrings. I'm going to quickly go into each one so you can have a closer look at how they are, and I'll show you what's in your kit. So you're going to get 2 pairs of your gemstone 10mm round beads. They're nice and large, but these earrings aren't really heavy at all to where they are a nice make. And you can do them without the crystals. They look lovely without the micro crystals, just on the gemstones on their own, but I thought let's just add a little bit of extra bling. So you're getting those micro crystal round beads as well. You're getting your earring hooks, and you're getting your 2 gauges of wire. So today I'm using the 0.8 and a 0.3mm. And if you want to have a look exactly what is in your kit, you can see these micro crystal round beads are 1.5mm in the purple iris, which of course just match beautifully with those purple amethyst. Very well loved gemstone, probably the most iconic, I think, of all the gemstones. Even if you're not that clued up on your gemstones, most purple gemstones, I think you know what it is. You could get charoite or whatever it's called, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful purple, gorgeous 10mm round gemstones for you as well. And they are with the silver wire and your silver plated ear wires as well, which are the little ball pinch ones. So that is your amethyst, and that's how they look. We've got the lovely citrine. So I think citrine is such a happy, warm colour. It's got a lovely yellow tone to it. So again, that usually represents abundance as well. A lot of people attribute this to wealth, but it's an abundance in every sense. So we have used the amber microcrystal beads with that. So that just kind of brings out that warm yellow tone. And you've got your champagne copper wire there as well. So when I've been saying it's the gold wire, it's the kind of gold champagne. So it's just got a lovely tone to it. It's not too vivid. I think it looks beautiful against the crystals and the gemstones. This one we've got for you is the garnet. Really beautiful, rich, deep red garnet colour. And they almost look black on this picture. I will tell you they are a very deep red. They're very, very beautiful. And I'm using the majestic pink crystals with them. I'd say those crystals stand out really lovely against them. They've got kind of, well, it is a majestic pink. There's lots of like kind of gold, kind of auburn, kind of pinky tones on those crystals. Really, really pretty. Again, with the champagne wire and your ear wires as well. We've got the gold obsidian, which is it's much darker. It is kind of black, but it's got that kind of gold sheen to it as well. My photographs don't really do these justice. They are. I need, I think, to get a new bust because it heads at a funny angle, and I wanted you to see it. So I've had to kind of angle it in quite a moody, doomy kind of shadow there, but they're your lovely kind of gold sheen obsidian ones for you. Oh, and the crystals that we're using with that are coffee. So again, they are quite dark, but they've got kind of a kind of goldishy kind of coffee colour to those ones. We also have the rose quartz, the stone of self-love, and all things lovely. So you've got your silver wire with these, and this is the pink micro crystals, but they look, I would say, mine are a paler, softer pink. They look beautiful with these gemstones, but obviously you can see just having the string through them there, how you can kind of, they're not translucent, but they've got a beautiful kind of opaque kind of look to them. They're gorgeous. I'll show you them down on the mat as well so you can have a little look. We've got the serpentine, which are beautifully patterned, gorgeous green, the kind of yellowy tone to it as well. And they are with the green iris crystals, which I think, as the micro crystals go, they are some of my favourites. Absolutely love the colour of that green iris. And lastly, but by no means least, we've got the sodalite. It's blue, it's your throat chakra, it represents the sea, and just lovely, lovely colours. Really, really love those ones. We've got an extra photo, but I think it's the same one duplicated, and they are with the dark blue crystals as well, and they are on your silver. So lots of lovely colours for you to choose from today. They are £8.09, so you've got a little bit of a reduction on for this week. They should be £8.99, and you're making up 2 pairs of earrings in these kits. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to have a little scroll back up and see if there's any comments or questions that I've missed. Tracy saying hello to everybody. Mary saying it's flooded in Tewkesbury. Oh, there's been lots and lots and lots of water. I hope you're okay, Mary. We've been quite lucky, I think, where we are. I've not had any flooding, but the weather's been not the greatest, but you know, it's winter, so just seems to be getting colder and wetter, doesn't it? Rachel says she did get worried as she had no internet earlier due to the outside fault, but it's fixed in time for the live. Good morning to Facebook user, and good morning to Rachel, who's in Baltimore. Hello to you. Esther saying happy 24 to everybody from a dull and cold Preston. I've been up Preston way quite a little bit lately, Esther. I've been going for some beautiful walks up your way. Mina says, oh, gemstones. Good morning to Anna. She's wishing everybody a happy new year. Mina says she's made the Hugs and Kisses gemstone bracelet this week, so she might have a little go because she thinks these will go well. Yeah, I think they would go well as well. It's kind of got a little crisscross motif at the top. Rachel says her birthstone is amethyst, so she's a February baby. And good morning to Sue. She's wishing everybody a merry 2024 to all of her beading family. She says she's here this morning and there's no Zumba due to the floods. The instructor is stuck in her house, keeps everything crossed it doesn't get any worse, and we definitely don't need a repeat of 2014. And Camille is saying the citrine looks nice because she loves that kind of orangey zesty palette, don't you? Okay, I'm going to take you down on the mat now, and I will show you these very, very, very quickly so we can get started. So this is your amethyst. I'm going to see if I move my fingers from the back of it, if you can get a little idea of that purple. But look at those crystals. They're giving blue twinkles on that as well. So just doing a lovely little crisscross and adding those micro crystals at the top there as well. Hello, Marion. How are you doing? She's watching in Australia. Good evening to you then in that case. This is your citrine. Really, really beautiful. Just love the warm tone of that wire and those crystals. We've got the gorgeous garnet, which I think picking up the red tone more in that with having the little micro crystals running along there. This is your gold sheen obsidian. Just going to do a little bit of wire weaving. Joanne's also saying she had flooding in Coventry over the new year, but luckily most of it has receded. Good morning to Jackie as well. These are your rose quartz. Now they're looking kind of white pale on here. Obviously I think my background doesn't help, but having those very soft pink little micro crystals just picks that up a little bit. This is your serpentine or your serpentine. Look at the pattern on that, if I can hold it close. A little bit of focus. Look at it, love those crystals. So they're your kind of olive green, zesty ones. And then your sodalite with those lovely dark blue crystals. I love that. I mean, the best thing about your gemstones, you can rotate these beads as well. So you can see there on the sodalite, you've got those gorgeous kind of white marbled kind of patterns. Each of your gemstones is going to be unique and different. But I just think they're so pretty. So as I say, we're just going to do a little crisscross with our wires and a little bit of weaving down the bottom. It is a nice straightforward make, so we're going to get going now. Good morning, Pauline, how are you doing? So I'm going to use 3 pieces of my 0.8mm wire, which I think is 20 gauge for those of you that use that system. So I'm cutting 5 inches of that. If you want to know what that is in centimetres, then I can let you know it is roughly 13 centimetres. And I'm going to use 3 pieces of that. I'm going to also use my 0.3 weaving wire, and I'm going to start my weave about 2 inches in from the end. So I'm going to just take my first wire, I've straightened that out as well with my nylon coated pliers, but you can run it through your fingers just to get any bumps out of it. So I'm going to take it 2 inches in, which is roughly 5.5 centimetres. It's there or thereabouts, doesn't have to be too exact. And I'm going to place my weaving wire, which is my 0.3. Angela says, morning Natalie, the green one looks like dragon skin. It's serpentine, I think is the way it's pronounced. So it is like a serpent, like a dragon. So I'm just going to keep my little tail end. Oh, it's gone a little bit fuzzy. I hope you can see this okay. Please let me know if my camera needs amending. It's been on for a good few hours this morning, warming up, so possibly overheating. Tiny little tail end, about 2 inches up from our 5-inch wire. So I'm just going to hold it over with my thumb just to hold it in place. And I'm going to bring that wire round and I'm going to wrap it 3 times just to anchor it on and secure it. So it will be looking like this. You can, if need be, just keep using your tools just to kind of squish this weave down. And now you can cut off that tail end as well if you want. I'm just going to leave it there for now. I'm going to place my next wire, which I'll possibly refer to as wire 2, which is the same length. I'm going to continue to start that weave down so those are sitting kind of flush together. And I'm going to bring that weave over the top to wrap twice. So now I've bound those 2 wires together like so. Bringing it up to the top and adding in my last top wire, which is going to be referred to as wire number 3. So placing them all together so they're sitting nice and flush and parallel. And I'm going to bring it over the top and then back in between wires 1, which is my first, and wire 2, which is the middle. So I'm just going to bind these 2 wires at the top together twice. So I'm going to do a 2-2 weave, which is just 2 around the bottom 2, 2 around the top 2. And I'm going to keep pushing my weave in every now and again just to kind of compress it down and keep it nice and neat. I am going off the reel at the moment. I reckon you're probably going to need about 40 centimetres to do this section. In total, I think that'll be about 80 centimetres of your 0.3 per e-ring. That's just a guess. At the moment, I am just leaving it on my reel. You'll see I just keep smoothing it down with my fingers. So bringing it up from the bottom, I've just splayed these wires out a little bit, just so I can get my weaving wire in between. And I'm wrapping twice around the bottom, up between the bottom 2, and twice around the top. So 2 around the bottom 2 wires. Pushing that down. Up between to go over the top 2. And I'm going to do about 15 repetitions of this. So I'm going to have, see these 2 little wraps at the top? I'm going to count 15 of those. So I've got 3 at the moment. Wrapping twice around the bottom. Every now and again I'm just pushing that weave down to make it nice and neat. Coming in between those bottom 2 wires and twice around the top. So that is 4 repetitions. back around the bottom. So I'm placing the wire where I want it to be before I bring it through. You can see I'm just using my finger to push that along, and then the next wrap is going to sit nice next to it. I'm not overlapping those wires, it's just sitting right next to each other, and then back between to wrap the top too. So I'm going to do this 15 times. Kim K says, good morning everyone, I'm a bit late today, no problem, I'm just getting going. Kim, we're doing some lovely gemstone earrings with crystal, micro crystals, and I've called them Ingrid. Good morning to Phoenix Creation, she says happy new year, hope you all had a fab holiday season, and she's been out to walk. Meg, I hope you're okay, I hope you're staying dry. So in between, over the top too, little bit of a push down just to neaten it up, and then over the bottom too. So I'm going to continue to do this until I've got 15 repetitions, which will look like this. So I will have finished off with my wire. Probably should actually finish that off at the top, so I might just add that extra one in. I'd like that wire to finish up there. So I've got this little tail end here. Good morning Yolanda, how are you doing? She's watching in Michigan this morning. And I'm just going to trim off, you can see that little tail here. So I'm going to come in with my flush cutters, trim it off, and then just tuck it down to make sure there's no little sharp edges sticking up. I can run my finger across that if need be. I'm gonna, although I've said 15, I'm gonna add an extra one here. Just because I wanted that weave to, in fact, I'll take this one off. Okay, so let me just bring that through. So if I count, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that 14? Yeah, 14. So I'm going to take it back and do it again. 2 around the bottom. And then 15, 2 around the top. So I'm going to cut my weaving wire off my reel now. I'm going to probably keep quite a good few inches, because you can, if you need to, if you have trimmed this off, it's not a problem, you can attach another one on. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep it on for now, because I'm going to add my gemstone. So I'm going to use the garnet, and I'm just going to slide that beautiful round onto that weaving wire here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm slowly going to start to shape and curve the wires. So I'm not going to put a big bend in it. I'm just going to start using the stone to kind of shape around it. Because what I would like is to have this weaving wire come up between that first inside wire here. So I'm going to continue to shape it, because I'd like it quite firm around the stone. So it's like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that weaving wire just through that first inside wire, and I'm going to wrap it round once, and then I'm going to bring the weaving wire, sorry, I've just knocked that camera, and I'm going to bring it back through the hole in the gemstone. So it's coming through the gemstone twice essentially. So just taking it round. Back through the gemstone like so. can still add a little bit of shape to that. I'm going to leave this tail end on for now, but again, if you cut it, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to take that weaving wire and I'm going to go round this inside wire now on this side. The good thing about this make is often when you are making earrings, you have to have that kind of mirror image symmetry. This method, you can just repeat exactly the same and they will look the same. So I've got my weaving wire going through the centre of the gemstone and I've just wrapped it on that inner wire to keep that there. I'm going to keep it out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start crossing over the wires and I'm going to do this one at a time. So I'm going to start on the right, doesn't matter which side you start on really, and I'm going to curve that wire over in the direction of the stone. Then I'm going to take the innermost wire on the left hand side, so it's going behind the wire I've brought across, and I'm going to bring that over the opposite side so it's looking like this. Now I'm on the middle wire on the right hand side and I'm going to bring that across so it's now going behind the left one, and then the innermost wire on the left hand side is going to come across, so I'm creating this kind of pattern, and then the last wires I'm just going to position so they are staggered. So I'm doing that one at a time. If you want to make your other earring now, I would say you can do, and then you can sit them against each other to check that you're getting this around the same size and the same shape if you do want to get them, do them as symmetrical as possible. So I've got this beautiful shape and I'm going to then bend where these wires cross. So I'm going to check I'm happy with my size of what I've got there and that my wires look quite even and nicely splayed across each other. And then this very, very back wire, which was coming over from the left, is just going to position itself. So I'm just taking my pliers and giving it a little bend. So that's going to sit vertically upright. I'm then going to take this wire which is going across it, which was my back wire on my right side, and I'm just going to bend this gently around the top. I'm then going to take my cutters and I'm going to give it a little trim. I'm going to leave a tiny little tail because I'm going to hold this between my thumb and my finger to keep it in place. And then with my pliers, I'm just going to twist it and tuck that in so that wire is secured around the other. So it's now looking like this. Debbie says the alternate wires at the top are the flattish to the stone, or is each one higher away from the stone? So is it these ones here? What I'm doing is I'm just bringing them across so they alternate. So one is on top of the other, and they are kind of curving around the direction of the stone. Debbie, you will see that this starts to curve. That is preference. So if you would rather that be more flat, you can, because it'll buckle a bit, you can just take your pliers and you can kind of flatten that out more if you prefer. I think it looks quite nice when it kind of comes around and frames the stone. This one is a little bit more of an example of that. And you can tuck it in as close as you want. So you can see this, there's not much space between those gaps. So it's just preference in terms of what you like the look of. Whereas this, I've tried this one, I've made a bit more of a space between them, just to kind of show that cross section off a little bit more. I hope I've answered your question there, Debbie. If not, ask me it again and in a different way, and I'll see if I can explain it a little bit better. Camille says, very Art Deco looking. Thank you very much. I hope I've not missed any other questions. Please let me know if I have. Okay, so I'm now at this stage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same, where I'm going to bring each of these wires around the back of that frame. So I'm just going to keep it facing me at the moment, because I can reposition and I can correct and move them. But when I'm happy where they are, I'm just going to bend them over just slightly. Nothing's like too firm or fixed in place. It's just so I can have a little look at it. Obviously, if I've made one already, I might want to hold it against the one I've already made and check that they're looking the same. So that bead is sitting a little to the side. But I'm just going to have a little glance over it and check I'm happy with where it's positioned. If I need to readjust, I can do so. Once I'm happy with where I've got them, I'm going to do the same again, where I'm going to take my cutters and I'm just going to trim, leaving a tiny amount. I can cut this down again if need be, but I just want enough to be able to hook over the back there. And again, I'm going to do it the same on this side. So if I feel that there's too much wire when I come to tucking that in, then I can just go and trim it again a little bit more. I'm going to kind of keep my finger over it because I don't want them to move too much. Now I'm happy with the positioning of them. I'm just going to tuck that wire in. So I'm just going to take my pliers. I'm going to use my bent nose for this. It's not a necessity, but I feel like you can just get a little bit more of a grip. And I'm just going to put a little bend in the wire just to secure it in place. And again on the other side. So taking the wire, hopefully you can see what I'm doing, just giving it a little bend over and pushing it down to tuck it in. Now I'm going to line my wires up with those at the front, so here you can't really see that excess. If I do need to readjust though, I've got that ability to do so until I firmly push it all down. If I feel like here I've got too much wire exposed, then I'm just going to come in again and just cut a tiny little bit more off. Keep your finger over it though, because you don't want those little bits firing off. Just giving it a little tuck down. I might trim that one a teeny tiny bit more. And I'm just pressing that round. So now that's kind of held in place on my frame. If I don't compress that too much, then those wires can move. So I do want to press it down quite firmly. And now that's kind of held into the shape that I want. Phoenix is asking, can you repeat the shape in the front but on the back too? Secure the ends near the bead, keep them safe from... Yeah, if you wanted, you could take that right down and then bring... So instead of cutting that off, if it's long enough, I could just tuck it in underneath this side so it's facing up. But if I've tucked those down properly, I can rub my finger or my thumb over it and just check there's nothing there that's going to kind of snag. But yeah, do make sure that you've tucked any bits down, because as Phoenix says, you don't want them in your hair. But you could bring them up and you could curl them around the front. You could do whatever you wanted with that. Okay, so I've got this top wire that's coming vertical. I'm going to position it kind of back as it was, so it's kind of running in line. And then I'm going to take my bail step pliers or my round nose pliers. I only want a small loop, so I'm going to take my smallest loop on the bail step pliers here. I'm a little bit close to camera. I'm just going to bring that wire all the way around that loop. Sorry. So it's like so. And say I only want a small one because I am going to attach my earring hook to this, but if you're making a pendant you might want to make that a little bit larger. Once I've got my loop, I'm just going to wrap that wire around. You can keep, if you want, your round nose pliers or your bail step pliers in that loop just to give yourself something to grip onto. And I'm just going to bring that wire all the way around, trying to get the angle right with the camera. So it's like this, and then I can trim that off and make sure again that that is firmly tucked in. And if I need to, I can straighten up that loop. So I think it looks lovely as is, but of course we've got these beautiful micro crystals as well. Now I'm going to take 10 of my crystals. What I have found is because they're so small, if you struggle to see the hole in them, then what you can do is you can keep them on your thread and you can line your wire up and thread them through if it's easier to do it that way. I have picked them up off my string already. Sorry, but this I found is a quite good technique to do. So I've kept them on the string and I've just slid my wire on and I'm going to count 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then I can pull that wire through and then just undo that little knot at the end. And then as I pull that string, I've got my crystals threaded on. So if you've got, you don't have to have poor eyesight to struggle with that, because the wonderful thing about the micro crystals is they are tiny, which are beautiful because they're faceted and twinkly, but of course it means they've got a very tiny drilled hole. Phoenix says, I do like those micro crystals and the gemstones. Jan says it's a beautiful make, Natalie. Thank you so much. So I've now got my 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let me check. Yeah, so I've got my 10 crystals and I've just popped them onto the weave-in wire. Now, if you had trimmed off your weave-in wire, then really doesn't matter. You can just thread another one through here and attach that on 3 times. I'm now going to take those crystals and I just want to frame the front. So you might see there is a tiny gap between my gemstone bead and my weave. Again, if you want to, you can see it will kind of dome around the bead, and I think that looks beautiful. But if you want to flatten it out, you can just push it down with your pliers. Personally, I quite like it when it frames the bead, but there will be a tiny gap between your bead and your weaving. So I just want to place those crystals around the front. So I'm just going to kind of hold it with my thumb, and then I'm going to take that weave-in wire and I'm going to bring it right down here to hold those crystals loosely in place. So they're framing around the front of the gemstone, or the bottom of the gemstone. Now obviously they're going to flip and flap, they're not secured down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my weave-in wire, and every 2 crystals I'm just going to bring my weave-in wire in. So it's going to go in between the gemstone and out of the frame. And I'm just going to guide it with my finger so it locks in between the 2nd and 3rd crystal. And it's just a case of kind of sewing or stitching it on together. So again, bring in that weave-in wire between the bead and the weave, pulling that wire through and just guiding it. So now it sits between the fourth and the fifth crystal. You can push those weaving wires down so it's close to your frame. I'd like this nice and taut, really. I want that weaving wire to sit flat against the frame. You can see there. Taking the weaving wire again, bringing it in between the bead. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many beads you bring that in between. You could bring it between every single bead. You can bring it between every third bead. But if I've got 10 crystals on, and you might think, actually, I don't need 10 crystals, I need less or I need more. You can add on what you think. You're going to get plenty. Just going to give it a little push so they're sitting firmly around that bead there. And check that my wire is nice and taut, so it's not kind of gappy and sticking out around the frame. I'm just bringing it in. And what this will do is it will secure down my crystals to my frame. So when I get to bring my wire through, I'm just positioning it with my nails and my fingers, really, just to make it sit nicely between those two beads and giving it a little pull down. And then the last one, I'm going to bring between the gemstone. If there isn't much of a gap at this section here, then you can bring it a little bit higher up your frame, just wherever you can get it in. And then as you pull it and position it, it will slide down to where you need it. Yeah, exactly, Phoenix. She says, I see. Carry the weave around the bead in an entire circle, and then the micro crystal will be beautiful. Hopefully it's making sense. Good morning, Iris. I hope you're doing well. So all you can see is I've just brought that weaving wire around the back. It's fairly neat. If I want to, I can give it a little push down again with my pliers, just to make sure it's nice and close to that frame. I'm then going to bring it round one more time through the middle. And you can just attach this, wherever you feel is best. Your wires might not be as splayed as mine are here. You see this inner wire is a little bit close to the bead and there's a little bit of gap there, which just means I can bring my wire through that gap just to kind of secure it in place. I can now trim off this weaving wire. And again, just tuck down to make sure there's nothing sticking up. And I can also reposition the wires around my frame here if I want that to be a little bit close to the micro crystals. I think what I did when I put my bead on is I put my wire, you see it's kind of facing upwards rather than going straight horizontally. So it has meant that my beads aren't quite sitting fully round. So I'm just going to give it a little push with my fingers and try and reshape it. But if I have a show of this one, you can see it starts on one side and goes basically around halfway of the bead. Iris, honestly, it looks much more complicated than it is. She says it looks beautiful, but I'm going to have to watch a few times, even to attempt them. You can, once you've done one, you'll be quite confident with your second one, but you can watch this video back as much as you want to. All I've got to do now is attach that ear wire on. So I've got these lovely little ball pinch ear wires, and I'm going to add a couple of extra crystals onto the top as well. So I'm going to get my ear wire at the ready, and I'm going to take another little piece of weaving wire, which is my 0.3. I reckon you'd probably need, I don't know, I'm going to give myself about 3.5 inches. I only need a little bit. So where I've put these kind of loops and wraps at the top of my bail, I'm going to position my wire so it runs kind of along in between those. So I'm just going to hold on to a little tail end, and I'm going to bring that round and wrap it round once or twice really. So I'll hold that up to where I'd like it to be. I'm just kind of going in line with those wraps at the top so you can't really see it. And I will keep this on for now, but we'll cut off and secure in a bit. So I've got my wire, my weaving wire, and it's coming across the top of my frame. I'm then going to take another of my lovely little micro crystals, and I'm going to slide that onto my weaving wire. And I'm going to position it so it sits in between that little first crisscross section there at the top. I'm going to bring the wire through the little gap below it, and then just pull it taut just to check it's sitting fairly straight in the middle. I'm going to bring that wire back up so it's coming back up the top of that little crisscross section here, and pull that through. Again, it's basically like just stitching it on. I've got a little kink in that wire now. So I've got my first crystal sitting in between, and then I'm going to take another one, add that onto my weaving wire, and this is going to sit in this second little diamond just here. So I'm now going to bring it in between by the bead. Phoenix says, amazed at how well those nails have lasted. They've not. These ones have split and I've had to kind of paint over them. Well, it's so difficult to, I mean, they're my own nails, they're just painted over the top, but these two, obviously what I do a lot of my wire work with, so these are always the ones to split first. Good morning, Brenda. She's watching in North Carolina. She's hoping everyone had a wonderful Christmas and a new year full of blessings. She says, this is gorgeous, Natalie. Thanks for sharing. You're most welcome. So I've took that weaving wire. It's going behind the bead. It's now going back up. So I'm kind of going on the right side of that last micro crystal that I've just threaded on, and it's going back through the frame. And now at this point, before I pull it taut, just going to make sure that my crystal is where I want it to sit, because when I bring it through, it's going to tighten around that little section there where those two wires meet. That's going to hold it in place. And then going to bring it back through one more time in between the big bead, and it's going to go up, and I'm going to do it on the left this time of that micro crystal. Pull it nice and taut, and then I can trim these little tail ends off. So I'm going to trim my tail end here nice and close. Make sure you just trim your weaving wire, your 0.3, not the 0.8. And I'm just going to give it a little pinch together, and I'm going to tuck it down. Now you can cut it at the back or the front. Just try and get it to tuck in. I think if it's cut at the front or the back, it doesn't matter, because you should be able to just pinch the tail end in between those beads, so there's no way that's going to catch on anything. And then this weaving wire, which I just put around the kind of bail section, again I'm going to just trim off, and I'm making sure that that is fully flattened down, and I'm just going to put it in between the wraps that I've made there. I'm now going to admire my gorgeous little pendant, if I wanted it as a pendant. You could twist your bail the other way so it's sitting in the other direction if you wanted to just string a chain through there, or you could add a little jump ring onto that too. But if you're going to make your earrings and you're getting enough in your kit to make two, then I'm just going to take that lovely little earring hook, slide that through that loop, and then with my pliers gently press it down just so that little ball touches the ear wire, and now it is complete. So you can change the way you kind of position those wires. As I've said, I wanted this one to kind of show off and emphasize that larger kind of crisscross pattern, but you can tighten them right down and it will give a much smaller effect. This one is also garnet, but I've made it where they're nice and tight and small, so all of these wires sit close around the bead rather than kind of sitting kind of parallel next to each other, if that makes sense. Iris says, absolutely stunning. What a clever lady you are. Thank you very much. Hi to Tina as well. So we've got the most beautiful earrings for you today. If you want to make your pair of earrings, then you can just repeat that all over again and they will look as similar as can be. What I would say is if you want to make them as absolutely similar as each other as possible, then I will do your weaving. Again, you're going to do 15 repetitions of that 2-2 weave around the bottom. If you've got that, then that's going to mean it's exactly the same. It's going to be the right size to fit that gemstone. And then just as you're starting to kind of shape and cross your wires over each other, get to that point again on your next one, so you can line them up, check by eye, and then you can tuck the wires, your 0.8 wires around the back at the same time on each one, so you know you're getting as close to a perfect match as possible. Rachel says these are gorgeous. She's going to give it a go. Thank you very much. So we've got lots of colours for you to choose from. We've got the beautiful, beautiful amethyst. Don't forget these beads, because you've run it through that weaving wire twice, they do twist. The wire is strong enough because you've done it twice to hold that bead in place, but you can see a rotation. It's hard to show you the rotation on them though, given the fact that the colours flat. This one might be a better idea to show you. So you can twist and rotate those beads. We've got the amethyst, we've got the gorgeous serpentine. Really would love to show you the pattern on these. Really unusual. Definitely looks like dragon skin or snake skin. And there with your beautiful little faceted micro crystals. Just to show you the facet as well on these micro crystals. I mean, they're just minute and tiny. But if I just, can you see the twinkles on them? They are absolutely stunning. They're just going to catch the light and just add that lovely little embellishment. We've got the garnet. This is the one that I've just made for you. We've also got this gorgeous gold sheen obsidian, which are with the coffee coloured microcrystals. So they do look black, but just against that gold wire just adds that little bit of warmth. I think you can see the facets on those crystals really nicely on that example. We've got a beautiful citrine. It's a really nice citrine as well. A lot of the time with citrine, it's usually like a heat treated amethyst, and it gives it a more kind of orangey colour. This is your kind of true citrine, kind of yellowy colour, so you can see that line where the drill hole is. It's a nice large drill hole actually, but you will see that on your citrine one, which I think just adds a little bit to the joy of the gemstone, to be honest. We've got the rose quartz with the pink, and I think the difference is, if I can put it against my skin, you can kind of see more of the pink tone to that. When it's down next to my cloth, it does look more white. And then of course we've got the beautiful sodalite, which at the moment I think I'm thinking of my favourite, but just because you can see the real change, I think, on that gemstone. So they are your earrings today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will take you back on the website. So if you're wondering, where do you get your hands on these gorgeous kits today, head over to totallybeads.co.uk, which is the website. These are the Ingrid gemstone earrings, which you'll be able to find in the Learn to Make Jewellery category, we've got a little bit of a discount on for you today. So they are £8.09, and that's including enough materials to make 2 pairs of these beautiful genuine gemstone earrings with the micro crystals. I think they're very, very lovely. Well, I would, because I'm obsessed with gemstones. What I will do is I will put one in for you so you can see the size. Obviously, you can adapt this size when you're bringing those wires over. You can make it as kind of large or as small as you want. The closer you draw them in around the stone, then the smaller they become. They are, given the fact that they're gorgeous gemstones, they are really lightweight to wear. Really, really pretty. Judith says they're lovely. She's going to give them a go. Tracy says, thank you, a lovely make. Camille is saying that she's enjoyed them as well. Phoenix says, oh, serpentine is lovely. Jan, you are very, very welcome. Thank you for being so complimentary. Joanne says, my granddaughter and me have thoroughly enjoyed watching. I think she may follow in her grandma's footsteps. Do it. Your grandma is very, very talented, and she can teach you whatever you need to know. I'm sure you're going to be in great capable hands there. Thanks, Camille. She's saying give us a heart and a thumbs up. Rachel's really enjoyed it as well. So if you have enjoyed it today, then brilliant. I'm really delighted. If you've got any questions, do just let me know. Send me a little message. All the videos are available to watch back on YouTube at any time you want to. I'll also share it on my playlist as well. I'll put it in the wire work section. Sylvia says, I love gemstones. Happy New Year from South Australia. It is 9:30 p.m. and I've missed you. I've missed you too. It's been lovely to be back. It's a proper Monday when I get to be with you. I am going to be back with you on Friday. I've been making loads over the last couple of days. I'm not quite sure where I'm up to, what make did I schedule. Oh, I think we've got some lovely little bracelets. I'm going to show you the simplest make. So if you do want to play along with your nan or your grandma or whoever, then this is the perfect make for you. I'm going to show you how to make a proper stretchy bracelet. Really, really straightforward, but a lot of people always say, oh, I don't like stretchies because I don't get the knots right. I'm going to show you how to make a really secure, lovely, lovely bracelet using lots of lovely, colourful Heshy beads. I think I've got some spaces in there too. Iris says, I could do with you on DVD. I haven't got my own DVD out, but you can always find me on YouTube. Mina says, oh, my kind. Yeah, they're really going to be a good make, an easy make, but it's nice sometimes to go very much back to basics and get it right. And I think it gives a lot of people the opportunity, whatever level of jewellery maker you are, to give it a go, but also whoever you are, whatever you want to wear, they're a really good one for you as well. So please come and join me on Friday if you can. Have a lovely week, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye.